What's up, guys? Sooner or later, there's the game. Hi, what's up, Ricardo? How you doing? Yeah, Saturday, as is usual for Saturday these days. We're gonna be doing some auto build reviews, but unlike most Saturdays, we're gonna be doing something a little bit different because I'm not choosing the order of the next 5 to 7 auto builds. You guys are. So let's pull up that poll. I have it pulled up. I already know which one is first, and it's one that I was not expecting at all. But yeah, let's take a look. Right there. All right. So first, with 56% of the votes, is Kestoglyr, of all people. And then after him, we have Staunton and we have Galfrey, both tied for 2. Or for second place. So, I have something that I plan to do with Galfrey. So for today, since Galfrey and Staunton are tied, I get to choose which one. And today we're going to be doing Kestoglyr, and we're going to be doing Staunton Vane. That's the 2 that we're doing today. Next week, we will do Galfrey. And then the week after, Delamere and Shar. Nope, disconnected. And reconnected? Are we back? It looks like we might be back. Maybe, maybe, maybe. Video is unavailable. What do you mean the video is unavailable? It is my video. And it's live. What do you mean? Give me 1 second while I deal. Okay, there we go. Had to refresh it a couple of times. Anyway, back to what I was saying before I got so rudely interrupted by my internet. I do plan on doing Living Galfrey. I plan to do Living and Undead Galfrey in the same week, in the same day. Which is why we're going to be doing Staunton and Kestoglyr instead of Kestoglyr and Galfrey. I would need to get a save file for Evil Aru, though. But yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan moving forward. But for today, we're not doing these things. We're doing something else entirely. So we're gonna find Kestoglyr first because he's the one that everybody voted on, and we're gonna respec him. All right, so he comes in at level 4. Really? Wait. You get Kestoglyr when you are going. He's in the abyss. Yeah, you get him. You get Kestoglyr whenever you're going into the mines of whatever the fuck. So like you're like level 14 or some shit whenever you find this man. And he starts at level 4. Interesting. All right, well, so he is, ooh, okay, so I already like this. Weapon focus scimitar, 2 weapon fighting, power attack, double slice, heavy armor focus, interesting, combat reflexes, okay. He's got a 20, okay, so let's first take a look at this. So we're boosting strength. Our dex is a 20. No con, obviously, he's an undead. 7 intelligence, so he's a dumbass. Wisdom of 10, charisma 14. And they put the racial bonus into dex. Weird. Oh, we are going to have an even number strength at the end, though. So that's good. This is a weird setup. Like, I could understand going to 19 decks if you're going dual wield. You don't need intelligence to swing sword. You don't, but I can never remember what feats get locked behind 13 intelligence. Right? Because there are some combat feats that require a 13 intelligence to be able to use. I can never remember which ones they are. So I don't know if they're worth it or not. Combat expertise. Is that the only one? Is that the only one? If it is, then that's fine. Because that's kind of shit. But combat expertise. Oh, it's the combat maneuvers. All right, we don't care about those. All right, so looks like persuasion and athletics. Trip, disarm, and dirty trick. Yeah, like there's definitely something like if you have a very, 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 very specific build, then that could be useful. But I think overall it's better to not. I think overall it's better to not. Basically. Okay, so far I like his feats. Feats are very good. Scimitar is one of the best weapons, like one of the best weapon types that you can use in the game, right? Armor focus, if he's gonna be a frontliner, then having armor focus is obviously very, very important. Or having like a high AC at least is important. Armor focus helps with that. Could go cleave. Weapon specialization is available. What's up, Igor? Dodge is available. Weapon finesse? I wonder if he's gonna go for like fighter's finesse or something like that. Could also, like, if we're gonna be going for a more defensive build, shield focus. Because you can't dual wield scimitars, right? You can't. Well, okay. I mean, when I say you can't, I mean you can't without taking the higher penalties. Yeah. Sorry, I should have been more specific. So right now, he could be going for a sword and board build, in which case I would prefer for him to get shield bash here. Weapon specialization is obviously still a thing, but for right now, heavy armor focus isn't terrible. And I'm pretty okay with this build so far. Okay, so we get weapon specialization here. Obviously, it's going to be scimitar. Heavy blades. I'll be laughing my actual ass off if scimitar wasn't on this list. I don't... So, I would prefer other things, right? Lead feats, shield bash if we're going to go for a shield build. Like I mentioned, weapon specialization. But armor focus isn't terrible for a frontliner. And he doesn't have that much health, right? He's only got a 14 charisma, so he's not getting like a massive amount of health. And a lot of this dex is currently being wasted because we don't have enough armor training to make use of a lot of it. So having heavy armor focus, like I said, there's definitely better things to take, but it's not the worst. It's not the worst. I would definitely have put it later. But you also have to remember, this guy is starting at level 4 And we actually pick him up when we're like level 13, 14, 15, right? Because you don't get this guy until you're well into the abyss. Even with 10 charisma, it would always have a lot of health because he's a fighter. They do get a lot of health, but if you're going to be a frontliner, you know, you want as much as possible, right? But yeah, they do have one of the higher health rules in general. But so I'm kind of lumping together. Yo, what's up, Taco? How you doing today? But yeah, so I'm kind of looking at all of these up until like once we get to like 13. If we don't have like all of the things that I would consider to be kind of, if not required, then preferred in a fighter build by the time we get to level 13, then I'm gonna start being a lot more harsh. But we all know fighters get a ton of feats. So there's a lot of wiggle room to take things that we wouldn't normally take. And B, we got a lot of levels to get through before we even start using this guy. So I'm going to be a little bit more forgiving about what this guy takes until we get to that point. Improve to weapon fighting, yeah, 100% yes. Yep. Mythic 1, leading strike. Okay. We've gone over this one quite a few times in the past. Leading strike I really like in real-time combat. If you're playing on turn-based, this is trash and don't use it. But yeah, it's not bad for real-time for real-time. Is there something else that I would like instead? I guess effortless dual wielding at level 9. I don't know if I've ever even seen that. Are we sure that's in the base game? Yeah, I guess there's not really many fighter training feat. Okay. Obviously we could get last stand, we could get rupture restraints. Leading strike, it's a bit of extra damage. It's not much just yet, but we're gonna, like I said before, we're gonna get 5 mythic levels before we get there, so this will actually be an extra 5d6 damage. Fighter finesse thing that Reggie learns first hammer. Fair enough. Yeah, I don't remember. I get that he's a dual wielding fighter, so he's gonna have 8 attacks by the time he hits level 20, but I still don't like it. I don't like it. Stop buffing the attacks that are less likely to hit. I don't care. This is bad. It's bad. It's always bad. It's never gonna not be bad. It's bad. It does multiply on a crit, but it requires consecutive hits, so... And like I said, it boosts the damage of the attacks that are less likely to hit. So I don't like it regardless. If we are going to take, like, again, we're a fighter. We're probably going to have so many extra feats that we're just going to take random shit at the end. But I feel like we shouldn't take this early. Especially this early, right? We're level 7. We have 2 attacks. Well, I guess 4 attacks, technically, because of dual wielding. So we have 4 attacks. It's a maximum of +4. That's if we hit all of them. 2 weapon fighting mythic, yes. Just yes. It's a +2 on every attack that you have. Dodge. I like me some dodge as a defensive feat. And like the thing is, the 2 that we've gotten, heavy armor focus and dodge, it's They each boost... What is disruptive? What the hell is that? I don't remember this being a thing. Oh. Is that worth it, though? Is this worth it, though? Because here's the thing about disruptive. If you're a fighter and you're in melee range of a spellcaster, that spellcaster is most likely going to die very, very quickly. So interrupting their spells doesn't really matter as much as just killing them. But this is an interesting one. Will save spell. Tell that to Arilu. Like, let's be honest, Arilu's not gonna fail a spellcast. Like, let's be honest here. she's not gonna fail those checks regardless of how high those DCs get. Knowing confusion clouds that the fly people cast? Yeah. But on the other hand, we got to keep in mind that we are playing on normal difficulty or lower for using auto builds, right? So on normal difficulty or lower, are those guys going to live through an entire round in real-time combat? Or even in turn-based? Like, it's actually even better in turn-based, right? Or is this better or worse in turn-based, I wonder? You would be able to position yourself better to make better use of it in turn-based. Yeah, I would say that this is definitely better in turn-based than it is in real-time. Because while you can focus down a single spellcaster, if there are... So, okay. If there are more than one spellcaster... If there's more than one spellcaster in the fight, this is better in turn-based than it is in real-time. If not, then I would say that it is worse. But what we do get is dodge, which I've been on the record multiple times. I like me some dodge. I don't like dodge better than I like improved critical or greater weapon focus, especially improved critical, especially with a scimitar. Not taking this right now is objectively bad. But we get it now. And there's effortless dual wielding. Okay. Treats all one-handed weapons that belong to the trained weapon group as if they were light weapons. Okay. So yeah, we now... Yeah, you did say at level 9 we would get this. So, yep. There it is. We got it. Effortless dual wielding is now a thing that has been done. There we go. Yeah, so he now treats them... Okay, so we are up to this point. I wonder, is it even worth it to be dual-wielding scimitars up to this point? I think it's probably better to have one scimitar and then like a dagger or a short sword in his offhand until you get this. That way you're not taking those massive penalties. Because even with mythic dual wielding, that's only a +2 to everything, right? It doesn't negate them. So yeah, I think this is probably best to not be using, but then again, we're like, he's gonna be up here before we even start using him. So yeah, by the time we get him, this is already a thing, basically. And then we just get an extra +1 on our heavy blades. Yeah, 100% for sure. Ever ready. This is basically just a damage buff, right? I mean, it's an attack buff and a damage buff, right? Because, like, we have enough... Oh, no, wait, we don't have, combat reflexes yet. No, wait, yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. We have combat reflexes. So we don't care about the extra attacks of opportunity. We're never going to go through 8 attacks of opportunity in a single round. It's just, there's no way. It's not going to happen. Unless you have an entire party built specifically around critting and outflank. Imagine that nonsense. Every single person in your party is built to maximize crits. Everyone is a dex build. Everyone has outflank. And everyone has like fucking 10 attacks of opportunity, so you're just getting like 27 attacks per round. But yeah, this is fine. All his builds are just that. That actually sounds kind of fun. That actually sounds kind of fun. And actually, like, there's, that's kind of one of the reasons that I really liked the Isles, the DLC, the roguelike ones, was because it incentivized building different builds, right? It incentivized using different types of builds than you normally would. And then I went in my most recent playthrough of the main campaign, and I tried it in there, and it was just fucking boring because there was nothing there. CRPG, bro. Okay. Critical focus. So scimitars are like one of the weapons where I'm perfectly fine with going hard on the crits, right? Because you got a 30% chance to threaten, right? You are very, very likely to threaten crits with a scimitar, so going hard into the critical feats is perfectly fine for me. Especially with the overload of feats that you have as a fighter. Greater weapon focus, yeah, 100%. Oh, by the way, I think I mentioned it very slightly. Athletics and persuasion, both of these are really good for this guy. Oh, we didn't actually look at his background. What are your background? Guard? Okay, adds perception. Proficient with light armor, short swords, light crossbows. None of that what matters. Fighter already has perception as one of its class skills, right? No, it does not. Okay, but we don't use it. I think it would have been better for him to get one of these because of how crazy high his dex is, right? I have a belt on this man? I equipped this man with stuff. I do not remember this. Yeah, I think it, yeah, I didn't really go over his skills, so I think it definitely would have been better for him to take some kind of background that would give him, like, mobility, trickery, or stealth, one of the 3 dex ones, instead of persuasion. I don't think that he could really do much with persuasion. He's only got a 14 charisma, so he's not going to be, like, he's not going to be an incredibly good, told you come back. Welcome back, Titan. How you doing? He's never going to be as good an intimidator as somebody who is full strength or full charisma or both, right? Like, his charisma's not really that high. He only started with a 15 strength, so neither of those are really going to be that great for like an intimidation build. So him going for persuasion instead of taking a different background and going for one of these 3 up here is just but then again, I don't think it's really necessary for him to have all that too many feats. He's got, or skills. He's got that athletics, and I think that's pretty much the only one that really matters. Mythic rank 4, weapon focus mythic. Gives him an extra +2 to his attack. And I approve. And then it's just weapon specialization mythic, which... Full plate warrior opening locks. So you missed last night? Don't even worry about it, my dude. Don't even worry about it. I do not at all expect people to get every single one of my streams. It would be absolutely insane to have that expectation. It would also be wrong of me to have that expectation, like, morally. How dare you miss a stream of mine? I should be your highest priority in life. No. No. These are bad and dumb. I'm just grateful whenever people can make it. Yeah, greater weapon specialization, yes. More damage, always yes. More damage, yes. Except for Hammer the Gap. Hammer the Gap can go fuck itself. Oh. No. No, 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 no. This is bad. Why is it marked as not recommended? For whatever reason, certain feats, this happens in Autobuilds affair, not often, but it's not uncommon either. So if it's already selected as, for that level, for whatever reason, the game will count it as having already been selected. So like, you know, if we go down, improved critical is no longer recommended, right? It's not recommended because we've already chosen it for a weapon. And for whatever reason, it will sometimes do that for something that you're selecting that level if you're using an auto build. So yeah, the weapon specialization last level. Yeah, it was kind of already counting it as being selected. Thunder armor. Yeah, it's one of those, like, I don't like, yeah, you have to fucking build for these, and train initiative, like, immediately. Oh wait, is there not one? I thought that there was one that boosted up your CMB somewhere. William Afton. Who is William Afton? Oh, Five Nights. Okay. Never played any of the games, have no interest in those games. I did watch a lot of the game theory stuff on them, though. A lot of big demons do wear. Yeah, they do. And like, so it's mainly because I have basically no faith that they're gonna build enough around Sunder armor to make use of it. That's why I'm saying that this is bad. This is definitely a tentative. This is bad. Love Sunder armor when I play with a peculiar GM who love to use classes of enemies. Yeah. One of my favorite sessions was a one-on-one with me versus fucking basically my GM rolled a class and a level, and he just pulled the NPC from one of the books. I can't remember what book it was. It was like an NPC Codex or something like that. And it was a one-on-one fight between me and that guy. I was a level 7 bard, he was a level 17 wizard, and I won. I definitely cheated a lot. I cheated a lot. But I won that fight. I went from level 7 to level 11 after that one fight. But I don't have time for that right now. We got to get through these builds. I will tell that. I will tell that story at the end of the stream. How about that? How about that for a fucking stick around and you can learn. I'll learn you some nonsense that happened in one of my D&D play sessions. So yeah, Sunder armor, I don't have any faith that they will build correctly for it. Train initiative, I fucking love. Anything that boosts initiative is really, really good. I would like to get armed bravery at some point. Check the new archetypes. Oh, that's right. They have the new archetypes. Okay. I've already promised that I'll tell the story, so I'll tell the story, and then if we still have time, then we will check out the archetype. I can't go into as much detail as I used to be able to because I don't remember the details as much. It's been a few years now. But I can go over the basics of that particular story. So yeah. Initiative, yes, give me all the initiatives. Fighters tactics could be good if we build for teamwork feats, which we're not gonna. Combat reflexes, no. CMD, gross. And armed bravery. So like basically train initiative and armed bravery are the only two that I really want to see. And then obviously we're still boosting up our heavy weapons, heavy blades, whatever. Level 13, penetrating strike. Okay. Ignore up to 5 points of damage reduction. Do we care about this anymore? There is still going to be DR. It's going to be a while before we get +5 weapons, but once we do get +5 weapons, how useful is this really? I guess it still is because plus there's nothing that gets over DR nil, right? So, yeah, like it just ignoring 5, like this is a +5 to damage basically, is what this is. I approve. I approve. Bane of Spirit Ring? What is this? What is this thing that you speak of? Bane of Spirit Ring order. You bound a part of your soul to the ring. You gain a +4 to saving throws against mind-affecting effects of emotions, confusion, fear, death, and compulsion. But -2 against poison, elemental, paralyzing, and movement impairing effects. As a free action, you can lose HP equal to half your level. Grant a creature +2 bonus to attack rolls and transform their damage type into force for 1 round. Ah. Okay, so basically, you get a +4 to your will saves at a -2 to your fort saves. Which, obviously, fort save is 14, will save is 7. Well, that was a little bit better. Yeah, it is a free action. So, at most, you would be losing 10 health. To grant a creature +2 free action. So, even though they're free actions, you're supposed to only be able to get 1 per round. Even though it says free, you're supposed to only get 1 per round. But I guess that falls into the cave fangs thing where it's just like, haha, exploit, motherfuckers. We can do some bullshit. But yeah. All right, let's take a look. Last Stand. This guy is a frontliner. Reactions are infinite. I'm in tabletop. I believe you still only get 1 free action per round. It just doesn't use up any of your other action slots, right? Um, 1 second. F free action. Never played the tabletop. Yeah. When I say, yeah, I'm speaking specifically as from tabletop right now. Free actions consume a very small amount of time and effort. You can perform. Hi guys. So I didn't even realize that I disconnected because my fucking headphones had completely unplugged. And yeah, I did not hear the disconnect message. So I don't know exactly when I disconnected or what happened there. But yeah, basically what I read up while looking it up online is the free action on tabletop is not infinite, but it's not necessarily limited by the rules themselves. It is limited by just realistic expectations of the GM. You know, you got 6 seconds per round. You're not gonna get 17. You know, you're not gonna get fucking Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech out, right? It's like that's just not reasonable for a 6-second period of time. But anyway, what even brought all that up? Like, first we were talking about, oh, it was me talking about getting bravery to all will saves, right? That's what it was. Um Fucking the disconnects, man. They fucking are killing these streams. Anyway, not focusing on that. Last Stand. Last Stand is a good one. Change all. Oh, it was for that bit. Okay. Because I was gonna say, like, that ring actually had effects that would benefit multiple different things that we were talking about. The will saves that I was talking about, as well as the force to get around DR. I don't. Oh, you said it was a relic. I was about to say I don't even remember ever seeing that one. Yeah. All right. Anyway, Last Stand. Last Stand is good for a frontliner. There we go. We did it. We got there. Greater. Okay, so we are focusing on Sunder armor. +2 bonus. So we now have a +4 to attempt Sunder armor. Now here's another. So here's the thing that I really don't like about here's like I really the one major issue that I have with combat maneuvers is that you sacrifice all potential damage for that round just for the chance, and it's an all or nothing for most of them, if not all of them, right? We're now level 15, right? We now have 5 attacks, and that's if... Oh, the Phylactery of Stevanius, I believe. Stevanius, however you pronounce it. Anyway, so like right now we have, 3 attacks with our main hand, 2 attacks with our offhand, +1 if we have haste, right? So that's potentially 6 attacks that we're sacrificing for an all or nothing attempt to remove its armor bonus for 1d4 rounds. So that's from when you rescue Reggie. Yeah. I remember I usually have it. I usually find it. I just never fix it because it's such a low priority for me. Because I usually don't know what any of the fucking relics do. I can never remember. So Yeah, if there's some way that you could add Sunder onto one of your attacks, Google is your friend. It is. It is. Um, it is. It is that for sure. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of just basic CMD attempts or CMB attempts in this game. Lands a normal hit if you succeed at a combat maneuver. That's better. What I would like to see is like your first attack of the round, or you could sacrifice, you know, half of your attacks for that round to also do a combat maneuver. Something like that. Something where it is a trade-off, but it's not quite as strong of a sacrifice, right? Because like you're a fighter. Like let's when we get done with this, we will look at the potential damage that this man can do, right? And then we will look at, all right, you could sacrifice all of this to get rid of this other guy's armor bonus. Potentially. It's not even a guarantee. Weapon specialization mythic is just really good. At this point, it's giving us a +3 to our damage. So, you know, it's going to be an extra +5 here once we get down to level 10. So, yeah, weapon specialization mythic is good. What else could we be grabbing? I mean, Sunder Armor mythic, if we're going to be going for Sunder Armor, we should. Yeah, there's nothing below weapon specialization. Improved critical mythic is actually really good here. Power attack mythic is just bonus damage. But because you're using scimitars, you're not using what two-handed weapon or a one-handed weapon in two hands. You're only getting the +1, not the +3. Yeah, weapon specialization mythic, Sunder Armor mythic, power attack mythic, improved critical mythic, even flawless attacks. Are all really good. Destructive Shockwave. All of these are good. Like, Destructive Shockwave, I think, is the worst out of all of these. But this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 mythic feats that are really good for us, and we only have... Like, we would need all 5 of them to get the best of everything. I think the worst of these is probably Power Attack Mythic. I think Power Attack Mythic is probably the worst out of all of these. There's greater 2-weapon fighting. So, see, like, this right here, greater 2-weapon fighting actually makes Sunder Armor worse. Because now we're sacrificing yet another attack to do our Sunder Armor. And we got more strength. Got our strength up to 21. Mythic Charge. Okay. That's a lot of extra damage. We don't have Pounce, though, so we're not gonna... This is, like, a good first burst of damage, right? It's not something that you're going to want to build your entire combat style around. It's not like you're going to want to suddenly make this guy a Cavalier or anything like that. You're still going to do more damage if you just stand there and beat on him. Tiring or critical, that's good. That's actually one of the 2 best one, tiring and sickening. Armed bravery, I was talking about this before. Yes, this is the one that we want to see here. And more weapon training heavy blades. Yep. All right, cool. I like this a lot. His build is actually fairly great. Improved critical mythic, yes, 100%. Yeah, just yeah. It's a 30% chance to trigger a crit on any given attack. Yeah. You want to boost the damage that you get from them. That just makes sense. What do we get here? Unrelenting Assault. I've never been a huge fan of this in lower difficulties. Simply because in lower difficulties, most fights don't last long enough for this to stack up that high. Most fights do not last long enough to get up to that +10. I would much prefer to have seen... Oh, wait, no, you can't get extra mythic feats. Rupture Restraints. Give me Rupture Restraints instead of this. 100%. Really? Really? Interesting. Unrelenting Assault is awful. I agree. I can understand the potential if you're on higher difficulties where fights tend to last longer. But if you're on normal difficulty or lower, I feel like it's absolutely useless. This is the first time that we've ever seen an auto build take exhausting critical. We have seen so many builds focus so heavily on crits, even when they really should not be. And none of them until now have taken exhausting critical. Yeah, exhausting critical is probably the best critical. I mean, well, it is the one. It is the best critical effect that you could have by a long shot. Greater penetrating strike, now up to 10 points of DR. Ignored. This is basically just another +5 to DR. If you don't have that ring, which I've never had that ring, so this would just be another +5 to damage for every attack. So yeah, me likey. What could we take instead? We ignore all of these teamwork feats because no auto build takes teamwork feats. So we're just not even looking at those. I'm amazed that we haven't gotten toughness yet. Is this going to be our level 20? Is toughness our capstone? Is that what this is? Is that what's going to happen? What is it going to be, guys? I'm surprised we haven't taken any of the cleave feats, actually. I would have taken cleave over Sunder Armor. Like, easily. Critical Mastery, get the shit out of here. Armor Mastery. What do we get? Sunder Armor Mythic. Okay, so we're losing out on Power Attack and Flawless Attacks Mythic. I did say that I think that Power Attack was the weakest. I do think that Flawless Attacks is probably the second weakest out of the 5 that I was talking about earlier. Is better with reach weapons? It is. But this is also a guy who's going to be getting legendary proportioned. So every weapon is a reach weapon at that point. Yeah, I think that Sunder Armor Mythic is probably the best one here because if you're gonna be taking 2 feats into Sunder Armor, you want to fucking boost it as high as possible, right? You've already invested a fair bit. You want to kind of go all in on it. So this gives us an extra +9 to Sunder, right? Between Greater Sunder Armor and Sunder Armor Mythic, that's a +9. Furthermore, you can make an attack of opportunity against any creature that attempts to sunder an armor used by you, unless it also has it. That's disgusting. Wait. Like, I get... Ugh. That's such a terrible... Like, how often do things sunder in this game? How often do things ever... Now, they might do it on higher difficulties. We have to remember this is on normal or lower. That's what we're looking at here. We're looking at this as if we're playing on normal difficulty or lower because it's the only time you're ever going to be using auto builds. Nobody's going to be using auto builds if they're going above normal difficulty. So... Unrelenting Assault. Nemashio's house, I think some of the succubus can use it against you. No, they could disarm you. I don't remember that being a thing. But the succubus in that tend to die very quickly on low difficulties as well, so... yeah, so... Wait. Unrelenting Assault. Do you mean flawless attacks? Because Unrelenting Assault is just like a slowly building +2 to attack over 5 rounds. So, here, let's pull this up. Unrelenting Assault, it's +2 every round, not every attack. We have to keep that in mind. It's not every attack. Every round. Says every turn, it means every round, right? It's every time your turn comes up, the person who has this. So there are, I would say, two exceptions to my... Are we back? We're back. We're back. You know what's really fun? You know what's really fun? You know what's really fun? Spending $100 a month on internet and having constant disconnects. It's super cool that I spent so much money for high-speed internet so that I could stream. And it does this on a relatively consistent basis. It's not tilting at all. But anyway, as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted yet again, is two exceptions to my dislike of Hammer the Gap / flawless attacks. And I actually like flawless attacks more than I like Hammer the Gap. Exception 1. Double full BAB class legend. You get so many attacks that, especially with flawless attacks, you're going to end up with like +8, +9, +10 to attack against those last few attacks. Like it's insane how high your attacks get. Same for the damage if you can consistently hit, right? Second exception, natural attack builds. Natural attack builds, dual full BAB legend. Or like at least full martial legend. Like even if it's a 3/4 BAB class, you're still going to get a lot of fucking attacks. So yeah, those are my exceptions. All right, so Sunder Armor Mythic. Now, what is our capstone? Do we get toughness at level 20? Huh? We do not. What do you fucking mean? No. All right, so we get a strength. That's cool. Weapon mastery. Automatically confirm all critical threats and have their damage multiplier increased by 1. So we now have a ×4 crit range weapon with scimitar. It is worse. It is worse because it does nothing. It's actually useless because we only have tiring and exhausting. This is a worthless feat. It does literally nothing. You would want sickening critical. You would want sickening, actually. That is like the one that you would want. Because you're not going to... Like, these don't stack. Tiring and exhausting don't stack. So having critical mastery for tiring and exhausting is a complete waste. It doesn't do anything. What the I was looking at this earlier. You might have noticed when I scrolled up a couple of I think it was when we were looking at either exhausting or at greater penetrating strike. I scrolled up to see what was recommended, and I moused over critical mastery for a minute, and I looked at it and I read it. And I was like, let me just double check what this does. And I didn't mention anything because I was like, there's no way that I actually have to talk about this. There's no way that this is going to be a thing. Right? Owlcat, do you play the game? Do you actually play Pathfinder? Improved initiative is here. Disruptive is here. We were talking about this one a while back. Obviously outflank if we're getting teamwork feats, but we don't here. Imagine we get Vital Strike at this point. Sickening critical, you know. Lunge. There's so many. There are so many options. And you fucked it up. Absolutely trash. Absolute trash. Why would you do this? All right. But as we were saying, let's take a look at this. All right. Kestoglyr, where are you at? There you are. Marshall. All right, let's give him a scimitar. All right, we got that one. We'll just do a +4. All right. Look at this damage. 37 to 42. Times 4 crit multiplier, 15 to 20 crit range. All right. Now, we have 7. We're going to say that we have 8, right? 8 attacks because of haste. Now, let's pull out our handy dandy calculator, right? All right. Now, come back here. We got 42 plus 37 divided by 2. On average, 40 damage per hit. All right. Times 8. If we do not crit and we hit every attack, that is 316 damage per round. On average. That's no crits. All right. Now, let's see. We have a 30% chance. Right? So we got 8 attacks times 0.33. Let's round it down. So 2 out of those attacks crit. 2 out of those 8 crit. All right? So we got... I already forgot. What was it? 39.5 times 4. What the hell? 39.5. You know what? 39 times 4. How? What the fuck? Okay, wait. 39 times 4. 156. So what was that before? 316. All right, so we got 316 minus 80 plus... What did I say? 146? 156. That's 400 damage. If we hit with every attack, we will average 400 damage, give or take, per round. That is the damage that we are sacrificing for a chance to sunder armor. And that's not even taking into consideration any benefits or buffs. Like, and wait. So we also have like Mythic Charge, Unrelenting Assault. It's also not counting the leading strike damage. That's an extra 10d6 every time we trade hits with another one in our party. We're not counting Mythic Charge in this, right? Not like we're ignoring Unrelenting Assault for this particular bit. Like, that's all of the damage that we are currently ignoring just to get an opportunity to remove the armor bonus from the enemy. All right, tight. That sounds good to me. I won't say no to other subs. So yeah, that's Kestoglyr. The vast majority of his build is very, very good. I disagree with the Sunder armor bits. This is absolute fucking dumpster fire. I would definitely take toughness over this. Toughness at least does something, right? Especially since he is relatively low on health. That's actually an extra 10%. Almost. That's basically a 10% boost to your health pool right here. If we got toughness over critical mastery. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's also not counting any extra damage from Hammer the Gap, by the way. All right. Let's move on. Where is Staunton? There you are. If I lived in Galarian, what gods would I pray to? I would need to look into them a bit more before I could make that decision. I don't know that much about the gods of Galarian. Yeah, I'd have to look into that a bit more. I have a very surface level understanding of any of those guys. It would be one of three, most likely. It would probably be either Caden Callion, Saren Ray, or maybe Torog. All right. So what do we start? Staunton starts at 11. All right. What do we got? He's also a guard. So we got both, so far, both of the undead that we've checked, both have a guard background. It does give... It does give a, something. He only has one skill? Wait, no. Alright, so he doesn't use perception anyway, so it doesn't matter. Only lore religion. Interesting. Alright. Alright, let's see what he's got so far. Alright, so he's a guard. We got toughness right off the bat. Alright. Oh yeah, wait, let's take a look at his stats. Strength of 15, dex of 18, intelligence of 7, wisdom of 14, charisma of 12. Yeah, we start off level 1 toughness. All right. Really wanted that extra 3 health to get started. All right. Heavy armor focus. Ow. Double defense, huh? Toughness and armor focus right off the bat. All right. I'm less. Well, okay. So here's the thing. I don't really know War Priest that well, right? It looks like, what is it? A 15? Yeah. As you say, there's no way it's a full BAB. All right. Toughness, heavy armor focus. We got power attack. Yeah, this is just the sacred weapon, the same that yeah, this is the same as the paladin. All right, that's fine. Check his god. Me is me. Yeah. Yeah, any undead that is under my command is going to be, I am going to be their god. Cleave. Great cleave. I like that. I like seeing that a lot. Especially since he does focus on glaives, so he does have that reach. Selective channel, that's good. Vital strike. Interesting. Cleaving finish, improve critical. Yeah. Okay. This is an interesting build so far. I kind of like this a lot. I kind of like his build a lot, actually. Cleaving feats. Vital strike. Obviously, we would need greater vital strike and improved vital strike and all that to really make use of this. So I hope that they fully commit to the vital strike. We also still need greater cleaving finish to finish off that. But so far, this build actually looks not terrible. Strangely enough, like both of the undead that we've looked at, their builds have not been terrible. Can I get greater vital? Oh, that's right. Fuck, that's right. You need 16. Yeah. I always forget about that. Who was it that also went? Somebody else. There was another 2/3 BAB class character that went Vital Strike and couldn't go all the way. Who was that? I like how we're seeing fucking Kestoglyr whenever we go back out of so leading strike again, by the way. This time was somebody who's going to be using a two-handed weapon and not a but I guess leading strike is like one of the only melee specific things, right? Yeah, the fact that we got Kestoglyr in the background whenever we come back out here. Wow. Okay, so you're focusing real hard on the toughness bit, huh? I don't know about that. If you're gonna have Vital Strike, I would say that you would need to have Vital Strike Mythic to make it worthwhile. Power Attack Mythic is also incredibly strong with a two-handed weapon. Especially for people who played Lich. Do you get undead companions before Act 5? You do? Well, you actually have to kill them. That's part of the quest to become a legend. You have to go back and you have to fight them all, I think. Because that's what I did in my very first playthrough, Matt. I went Lich into Legend. I can't remember if they just vanished. Like, if they just vanished, that's kind of lame, honestly. I think you have to fight them as part of it. But it's been a long time since I did that playthrough. It is all up on the channel though if you want to go watch it. You want to watch me flail around like a fucking idiot. Yeah, toughness mythic is trash, don't take it. Especially not as your first mythic feat. That's really stupid. Mythic charge. One, it's really early to take, like, this is the second scaling based on mythic rank ability. I feel like you should probably take something like Last Stand or Rupture Restraints or something else that's like, that it doesn't matter what level you are, it's just always going to do the same thing. Right? You kind of want to take this. If you're going to take Mythic Charge, you kind of want to take this later on so you get a better benefit from it. It doesn't really do that much right now. Level 4, Power Attack Mythic, yes. Just yes. You want this on anybody that is a melee character that's using a two-handed weapon and has Power Attack. You want Power Attack Mythic. It boosts it from a +2 to a +5. It's absolutely insane how much extra damage you get from this. The auto build skull take greater beast totem. I can't remember, Taco. You'd have to check the VODs for that. It's been a while. It's been a minute since we did the scald. It doesn't? Okay. Yeah, so here's the thing about me, guys. Yes. Yes, they're all in a playlist on this channel. Autobuild Judgment Day. It's its whole playlist. It took Damon? Oh god. What is he boosting? That is a good. He is boosting wisdom. Gross. Why? He has taken nothing. Wait. Why? Why are you boosting wisdom? I just noticed this. Why would you do this? Also, again, Jesus Christ, his dex is out of this fucking world. His strength is... Ugh. He can cast spells, but, like, literally no part of his build is based around his spells. Every feat that he has is based on melee combat. Yeah, he's not a fighter. He's not a fighter, so he doesn't get armor training, which allows him to get a higher dex bonus on heavy armor. He's a heavy armor wearing character. Why is his dex so damn high? Wait, like, am I just... What the fuck? Okay, that actually really hurts this build. I hadn't actually really looked at his stat, like his ability scores. His ability scores actually drastically damage his build. Because suddenly he's not hitting nearly as often, he's not hitting nearly as hard. He's boosting wisdom. His dex is way higher than it should be. Like, this man... I would say that... I wouldn't even say that dex and strength should be switched. I feel like dex should be strength. Like, his dex score should be his strength score. His strength score should be his charisma score. His charisma score should be his dex score. Right? Because, like, he does slightly scale off of charisma. He does slightly scale off of charisma. And then, yeah, fuck boosting wisdom. He should be boosting his strength instead. Like... Jesus. Wow, okay. I was actually like really happy with this guy at first. I'm gonna be honest. I was like really happy. Like all of this stuff, you know, these are kind of tis me. But beyond these two, you know, I like me some cleave. I don't mind Vital Strike if you build into it. We got power attack right off the bat. We got mythic power attack. Like our build, this, if you look at this, if you just look at this, this is good. This is not bad at all. You know, you get a little bit of extra survivability, which, whatever. Probably unnecessary, but it's fine. Yo, Lord Bovin, how you doing? But yeah, if you just look at this, it's not bad. And then you look at this and you're like, oh. 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 Oh, no. Oh. Oh, no. Everything's wrong. Like, that's basically what happens. Like, the instant you look at his ability scores, you just want to stop. Dodge. I like me some dodge. I don't know, maybe go improve Vital Strike, though. Maybe go improve Vital Strike instead of dodge, though. I feel like, here's another thing. Like, I was really, really lenient on the feats that Kestoglyr was taking because he has a billion of them. We don't have that many on this guy. Having 3 of them dedicated to defense when we still have things like improved Vital Strike, greater cleaving. Oh, no, wait, we got greater cleaving fish. Never mind. Like improved Vital Strike. I'm assuming BGEE is Baldur's Gate something something and Icewind Dale. I know Icewind Dale is a place. I'm assuming it's also a Vig game. I know nothing about it. And lore religion, which doesn't really matter that much. Enhanced edition, gotcha. We get literally nothing at 14, so we can just pass that one right on by. Abundant casting. No rupture restraints here, huh? Why, though? I don't know if the version that I have is the enhanced edition. I think it was. They only get up to level 7 or level 6 spells. Yeah, they're not full. They're not full full spellcasters. They're only 2/3. Minago swapped a bit. Oh, gee, imagine. She does steal his power. This is true. Well, she takes back the power that she granted him, right? Blind Fight. Okay, so we do get improved Vital Strike. Blind Fight. Basically useless. This is basically useless for normal or lower difficulties. The only gaze attack that I can think of are the giant spider thingies. They have a gaze attack. The only one that I can think of. And picking Blind Fight for one enemy. Not the best of ideas. It's not like it's the Wild Hunt from fucking Kingmaker, where if you don't take Blind Fight, your entire party is immobile for the entire last fucking portion of the game. It's one relatively rare enemy type. To take greater weapon focus, weapon specialization. You know. You just use freedom of movement in Kingmaker? You can. But God have mercy on your soul if you let that lapse. You let that buff fall off. Ooh. Or if you don't know about it. So, my first playthrough of Kingmaker, Oh, I know they do. I know they do. But they also sell a lot of very good weapons in the House of the Edge of Time. Imagine you're somebody who does not realize, and you're heading in there, and you don't buy those, and then you go in, and then you just get fucking stun locked. As was I, Ricardo. As was I. So I had people tell me way early on. I had people, because I streamed the game. It was actually the first game I ever fully played through on my channel on Twitch, was Kingmaker. That playthrough has long since been lost to time, but yeah, I had people come in and they're like, "You're gonna want blind fight. You're gonna want blind fight for later on in the game." I'm like, I will not take it now because you told me to, because I was an idiot. And then I got to the House of the Edge of Time, and I had no freedom of movement. I had no blind fight. Game prepares you for it. The last Bald Hilltop fight is against a Wild Hunt Monarch. Maybe so, but that would, so here's the at that point in the game, you're not getting that much experience. You're not leveling up that often anymore. And I can't remember if I leveled up between the last Hilltop fight and actually getting to the House of the Edge of Time. I can't remember. But yeah, all I know is that I went in there, and for a while I thought for sure that I'd actually like locked my game and that I could not progress any further, because that fight in the big fucking like dining hall, holy shit. Holy shit. That fight in the big ass dining hall, oh my god. That one killed me so many times. But speaking of killing me so many times, speaking of blind fight, actually, there we go. That's a better segue back. We take blind fight here, and unlike in Kingmaker, blind fight in Wrath of the Rice is incredibly niche. And is not worth taking, basically. Improve Vital Strike. We took Vital Strike. Why is it that they only ever take Vital Strike on characters that can't get greater Vital Strike? Like I said earlier, we've had two characters. I can't remember who the other one was. We've had two characters that took Vital Strike feats. Neither of them were full BAB. Therefore, neither of them could take greater Vital Strike. They both had to stop halfway. All right, so we now have improved abundant cast. They took a mythic feat for improved abundant casting? Are you kidding me? Why? Proof critical mythic. Vital Strike. Those two right there. Those two right there. Owlcat works in mysterious ways. Owlcat, like, sometimes I swear Owlcat just, like, turns their head, closes their eyes, and throws a dart at a board. That's how they choose these things. Was it the base War Priest? He doesn't have bad spells? Well, it would be nice if he had anything else that boosted his spells. You know, outside of just boosting his fucking wisdom out of all of his ability scores. Like, I don't mind. If he wants to build for spellcasting, that's fine. I mean, hell, he's got Hellfire Ray right here. But build for them. Right? build for your spells. In 1.7. So that's actually been a common thing. Both undead so far have had an intelligence of 7. And I'm curious if they all do or not. Which we will continue to find out as we progress through the game. This might the 7 intelligence might just be a thing that they do with all of the undead. All right, but let's continue onwards. Thundering blows. Still no rupture restraints or last stand, despite being a frontliner, quote unquote. Cannot be very smart if they're dead. Yeah, well, I mean, he did fight us. And then he refused to allow us to not murder him. Critical focus on a glaive. Again, like, they do this with they do this every time. Every martial character has to go into the critical feats, regardless of what weapon they have. A weapon that is basically incredibly, like, we still have weapon specialization that we haven't taken. We have greater weapon focus that we haven't taken. We have 3 feats left to take, and we still have 2 of them here that we really want to take. Made a fresh lich on inevitable access to the builds were all so bad I had to use toy box to respond. I'm actually really curious if the auto builds are different on... Are the auto builds different on inevitable access? Maybe we should take a look at that once we finish with the main game. Just have a day, like just at least one stream where we just look over the inevitable access builds versus... Hope Galfrey is at 5 int. That would be lore accurate. It would be. Wait. He could take Greater Vital Strike. Wait, why could he take Greater Vital Strike? Wait. Sir? Wait, these. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to redo your auto build, get the fuck rid of critical focus, and get Greater Vital Strike. Thank you very much. Weapon focus mythic. We don't have greater weapon focus yet, by the way. I would just like to point that out. We have not gotten greater weapon focus, but we have weapon focus mythic. I would like to just make that entirely clear. So this means that we cannot anymore get improved critical mythic and vital strike mythic. We cannot get both of these. We do finally get last stand. All right, we do get that. We still don't have rupture restraints, which makes me sad. There's greater vital strike. Okay, so we did get that at least. This means we have to get vital strike mythic, right? We have to. Improved initiative. We never got greater weapon focus or weapon. We never got either of these. Why? Like, this is like the one time where I'm like, why did we get improved initiative? We don't have weapon specialization on somebody that has access to it. His dex is really high, which actually lessens the need for improved initiative. Right? Like, we have less need, because, like, it doesn't matter if you beat the person by 1 or by 20. Oh, I know it stacks. But I'm saying, like, it's a flat cutoff, right? If you roll There's no like steps of success. It doesn't matter if you beat the other guy by 1 or by 50. You still beat him. So having a high dex as well, here, let me go here. Having a high dex as well as improved initiative, if you don't roll in that 4 range, improved initiative doesn't do anything. I don't know. I seeing these available to me and not take it just hurts my soul. Weapon finesse can get fucked. We're using glaives. But greater weapon focus and weapon specialization are such huge, especially since we have weapon focus mythic. That means that greater weapon focus here is actually a +2 to your attack. So we're skipping a +2 to attack and a +2 to damage, which then also unlocks weapon specialization mythic, which allows us to get an extra +5. Like, missing out on these is like really damaging. Especially since, like, yes, having it. So this is a character that I would probably say isn't as important to ensure that they go first. In fact, because he has potential to heal, it might actually be better for him to go later in the round as opposed to earlier, so that if somebody gets damaged, he can then react to it and heal them, right? This is obviously talking about it in turn-based. In real time, it's much less important. But I would say that anybody that has potential to heal a war priest, a cleric, a oracle, any of those, unless you've built them specifically to be huge damage dealers, which this guy is like really fucking weirdly built. Let's find out. Does he get it? He doesn't. You fucking what? I hate it. I hate it so much. Why would you do that? Why would you take that? We have Vital Strike Mythic, Improve Vital, or I'm sorry, Vital Strike, Improve Vital Strike, Greater Vital Strike. However, that only is good if you get Vital Strike Mythic. Because then you also multiply your strength bonus, which isn't that much because this guy's build is fucking stupid. Weapon enhancement bonus and other bonuses that normally would be multiplied on a critical hit by the same number. Which means we're not just rolling our fucking weapon damage dice. But no, instead we go for improved critical mythic to boost up our crit multiplier on a... I'm pretty sure, like, I'm not crazy, right? Let me just double check. Glaive Woder. Let me just double check. They're nat 20 only, right? Yeah. So, despite the fact that we have improved critical, which puts it to a 10% and not just a 5%, despite the fact that we only have a 10% chance to crit with this thing, we're going to focus all of our stuff on that instead of doing something that we could choose to do that is going to guarantee that we do more damage with that thing that we choose to do. All right, video game. Fine. I see how it is. And then he gets nothing at level 20. Because fuck it, why would he? Get out of here. You're trash. You're trash. All right, Kestoglyr. Actually not bad. Legitimately not bad. The dumbest level 20 feat that I've ever seen in my life because it literally does nothing. For those of you who weren't here when we did Kestoglyr, we got critical mastery when the only 2 critical feats that we got are exhausting and tiring, which do not stack. Exhausting, tiring, critical mastery. No idea why. You have to give it your all. They tried. You know, they forced in Sunder Armor, put in critical mastery. But holy fuck. You. Possibly the weirdest ability score build. I mean, who the fuck has ever heard of a dwarf that's got an 18 dex? Someone actually tried the Owlcat autos in tabletop? Why would you do that to somebody? Why would you wish that upon some poor innocent soul? Why would you want that on? Why would you want that? For the memes? It would be pretty nice for the memes. It would not go over well. Well, I guess it would depend on who you're taking. Imagine, though. Like, here's the thing that I look at this and I'm like, my God, I would never want to do this in actual tabletop because none of these are built for roleplay. Like, despite the fact that Owlcat likes to put in random bullshit like guard, which does nothing for this character, none of these are built for roleplay. Every single feat is a combat feat. They never take anything that helps with skills or anything like that. Oh, except for the bard. Remember, I think it was both the Scald and the Bard, which took skill focus, perception, and alertness when they had 0 points in perception. Y'all remember that? That's like the one thing that I remember from other builds. Canny Observer. Yeah. Yeah, they took skill focus, perception, Canny Observer, and put no ranks into perception. Neither one of them. It's bonkers. All right, well, that is 2 of our undead companions. Next week. Oh yeah, she's not in this one. She's not in this one. We're gonna have to load. Where you at? Where you at? Not this one. This one. Here we go. Load up. Next week, we will be doing a certain somebody's. I'm definitely not stalling for this fucking load bar to finally finish. Jesus Christ, there we go. This one. Next week, we're going to be looking at this old lady. And if I can get the save file set up, we will also be looking at our living counterpart. That's the plan for next week. Galfrey was tied for second place for our on our list. By the way, the poll is still going, but I actually probably should just close it at this point because the last 2 are going to be the last 2 regardless. So yeah, next week we're going to be doing living and dead Galfrey. Which means I actually have some work to do because I actually have to yeah, we have to do that. Now, what we're gonna do for the rest of the time, first we got some story time. We got some story time to talk. So I promised earlier that I would tell the story. I have said this before on stream, but I'll say it again because it's a fun story for me to tell. Of how, as a level 7 bard, I beat a level 17 dragon-blooded sorcerer. Ability scores are different. I don't doubt that in the slightest. So, now, this story has some build-up to it. All right? This was almost the culmination of a very long campaign. But I'll give you the Cliff Notes version of it. So, my character... Halfling Bard. I had started with a party. My character had then since become a solo campaign. The party kind of fell apart, but I wanted to continue playing, so me and the GM just made it into a solo campaign. I had been traveling with an NPC. Why can't I think of his name? Why can't I think of his name? Basically, he was like the biggest, beefiest fucking barbarian that you've ever seen in your life. Um, so it was giant barbarian man, small little bard boy. That was the party composition. Well, we had been traveling for a while, and I had gathered up a few items. The ones that are important are I had gathered up a scroll that was a boon from a prince of the water elemental plane, where I could call upon him and ask him to help me out in any situation. And the other important thing that I had at this point was a lesser ring of polymorph. Now, the setting of this story is this country is fucked. The world is one where orcs and all like the monstrous humanoids live on one continent, humans and all of the like the elves, dwarves, gnomes, all those guys live on another one, right? Well, the orcs just invaded and basically wiped out the human civilization. The capital had fallen, every city that they had come across has been taken. The fucking country is in turmoil, right? Well, me and my big old barbarian buddy, we find one of the last remaining cities. It is a was it dwarf or gnome? It was an underground city. I can't remember if it was the dwarven capital or the gnome capital. But it was an underground city, which is why it hadn't been found by the orcs yet. So we're in there, we're living our lives in there. And my character worshipped, it was kind of a Caden Callian-esque character, kind of a trickster god, somebody who liked putting on good shows. It was like an amalgamation of a bunch of different gods. It was not one of the ones in the actual Pathfinder pantheon. The name even escapes me. Apparently I can't remember any of the names except for my character, whose name was Terrell. Yeah, so I decided that while we were in here, I was going to try and put on a show. And because I had become somewhat full of myself as a player, I was like, I'm gonna put on a fucking DBZ-esque fucking fighting tournament, right? So I get together with a couple of the the higher ups in the city, get together with the guy who owned, like, it was basically a racetrack, and we kind of converted that into our arena. There wasn't a whole lot to be done. It was a big open area. And we just set some stuff up. Now, because I was at this point one of the most devout and most powerful followers of the deity that I worshipped, I made a plea to them, like, hey, I don't want, because like he was a good guy, it's like I don't actually want anybody to get permanently injured in this arena. So I made this prayer, and my fucking GM made a god shot roll, and I fucking nailed it. So an archangel of this fucking deity shows up. He's like, bet, I got you. So he basically makes a field of basically undeath, like no death, like a no death field around this arena. But nobody can die. And while I'm talking with him, or no, I'm sorry, that comes later. Basically, at this point, me and the Archangel have like a line of communication that we talk to each other periodically throughout this whole story. And so the tournament commences, and my GM randomly rolls what the opponents are going to be. And he rolls a d20 to determine the level. And he rolls something else, I can't remember what it was, to determine the class. And ends up rolling 2 17s and a 9. He ended up rolling a 17 sorcerer, a 17 assassin, and a level 9 cleric. The barbarian, my barbarian friend, almost, because like I had combat control of him. So like my GM would control him in roleplay, but I would take over for him in combat. So that my GM wasn't fighting against himself, right? So like I had his character sheet and I was using him, and he had a hammer that on crit could petrify on crit, turn somebody to stone entirely, completely. And so he goes up against this level 17 assassin, and we're like, all right, if this assassin gets a single hit on me, I'm fucking dead. So I need, we like me and my GM were talking about it. And it's like, all right, so I need something very, very specific to happen to be able to even possibly win this. A, I need him to roll like a nat 1 on initiative, and I need to roll really high. B, I need to immediately crit, and C, I need him to fail his save. Oh, not doing that. Oh, wait, are we actually back? Are we actually back? Oh, oh. Looking at my stream preview. Okay, I think we're back. I think we're back. To my internet provider. Like, it's getting to the point where I need to call them and be like, look, motherfuckers. Like, y'all are costing me, like, actually causing problems with this shit. But anyway, back to story time, right? That's what we're all here for. Back to story time. So, I'm not entirely sure when I cut out exactly. So I'm just going to go back a little ways into the story, right? So, you know, Barbarian Boy, he's also level 7, same level as I am, versus level 17 Assassin, right? Assassin is literally every advantage. Except for one. The Barbarian has a weapon that can petrify on crit. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. We're back online again. My friend has that hammer. And we have yet, so at this point in the campaign, we had yet to ever see it trigger. We had yet to ever get him to crit. So we're like, all right, 3 things need to happen for Barbarian Man to win. A, Assassin needs to roll like a nat 1 on initiative, and Barbarian needs to roll really, really high. B, Barbarian needs to crit, like not just like threaten, needs to crit. And 3, Assassin needs to fail their save, because there was still a fort save after. And we roll initiative, and he rolls a 1, and I roll a 19. I go first. I charge. I hit. That was another thing. Actually, there was 4 things. We needed to hit as well. Well, actually, no. Hit and crit are the same because it's a nat 20 only weapon. So yeah. Roll a nat 20 on my attack. Holy shit. And I confirm the crit. Holy shit! And then he beats the save by like 3. It's like, no! And then he just fucking eviscerates me. So, one of the guys that I was fairly convinced at the beginning of this that was going to be one of the 2 winners is out in round 1. I end up going up against the level 9 cleric, who is a very evil cleric. I think he was like a worshiper of Zon-Kuthon or something like that. He's like one of the dark clerics, one of the evil ones. Now here's another thing. At this point in time, me and my GM, we were still relatively new to Pathfinder. We had I had not leveled up my bard all the way to level 7 in Pathfinder. We had been playing with a different rule set, and we had converted the character over to Pathfinder. So we're still relatively new, and we didn't really understand how polymorph worked yet. What we thought it was you copy the exact stats of the creature that you're turning into. So I fucking went through the bestiary. I was like, what's the best fucking monster that we can find? And I did. I found the best creature that I could find. I can't remember what it was, but it was basically like a fucking woolly rhinoceros of some kind or something like that. Was the strongest creature that I could find in any of the bestiaries that I looked through that was available for the polymorph ring that I had. Because I think the best that it could do was like a medium, like animal, but you cannot die, but we can lose. That's the thing. Like, the stakes aren't whether you live or die. The stakes are whether you win or lose. That was the thing. It was all for spectacle. It was meant to be like this fun little thing where everybody gets together. They watch some cool fucking fights. You know, like I said, it was supposed to be like DB's, like Dragon Ball-esque, where they have the World Martial Arts Tournament. That's kind of what I wanted to recreate. But I know that in fucking Pathfinder land, you die really quickly. So I wanted to... it was basically just a sphere of, like, basically regeneration, kind of, where, like, you could get cut the fuck apart. Lose your head, get burnt to ash, and you would just regenerate after the fight ends. That kind of a thing. The Black Pit, kind of, yeah. So... I had also, another thing about my character was I was also focusing very strongly on summoning. So I'm fighting this cleric, right? and I summon like 12 fucking giant centipedes to come after this guy because I wanted the poison. I wanted to land the poison. And it was actually really fucking... My GM couldn't fucking roll to save his life this day. He kept channeling negative energy to damage living creatures around him. And every single one of the centipedes, except for like one or two each, would save against. It's like these tiny little, like, these fucking... Gotta be kidding me. Fuck off. Reconnect. Don't you dare. All right. Well... Oh, are we back? Did we do it? Kind of. Kind of. Wait. Nope. Falling back down. 2,000. 700. 1,400. 1,200. 3,000. Jesus. Like, I actually... I can't tell if I'm actually live or not right now. Because, like... I think we're live. It's just kind of sketchy. I think we're back. It's just a little bit sketchy. But I don't want to continue the story until the connection restabilizes. Oh, we got up to 68. Are we going to stay around 6,000? Are we actually there? 5,000. Don't you drop. Don't drop. 11,000. 5,000. 12,000. Jesus Christ. Things all over the place. It seems like it has somewhat stabilized. It seems like it's stabilized somewhat. It's either around the bit rate that I want it to be or way higher. I don't know why that's happening, but it does seem to be the case that right now, for right now, we have decent interwebs. Okay. Maybe. 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 Right. I'm going to wave, and we're going to see how long it takes for this to show up on my stream preview. I'm going to continue waving. Still not seeing it? Because it doesn't show me as live. What the fuck? Are we actually back or not? I can't tell. Okay. I think we're good. I think we're good. It seems like we're good. Hey, we did it. We got there. Okay. Yeah, I was getting like, I don't know if anybody was sending chat messages. I didn't get any until Taco Master's high again. But yeah, we're back. We're back. And I was talking about centipedes and clerics and how my GM had the worst possible luck in this fight. So yeah. I was like, I had kind of built my character to be a very slippery kind of character to get a hold of. I had a lot of sneakiness. I had a lot of, like, I had stuff like invisibility, like mirror image. Basically, I had a lot of ways to avoid taking damage. My character had started off as a very cowardly character, and it gained confidence and courage as the campaign had gone on. So yeah, I had a lot of those spells and tactics still from back when I was a lower level, more cowardly character. And this was definitely me using a bit of meta knowledge at the time, but I knew that I was a weaker character than this guy. I knew that I was a weaker character than this cleric was. So instead of fighting him flat out, I summoned a lot of centipedes and I went invisible. So basically, I was the summoner that they have in this game, where they just go invisible and they just summon and summon and summon and they just send their fucking minions after you. That's who I was in this fight. I was sending centipedes specifically so that I could potentially poison the cleric. But unfortunately, I was never able to get the poison off. Spoilers for this fight. Poison never happened. Mainly because the centipedes, their attack bonus was so low that they basically needed a nat 20 to even hit. Which just didn't happen very often. Obviously. But on the other hand, my GM could not get a single channel negative energy to land on these centipedes either. So it was just like a completely ineffectual slap fight for a while where like nothing happened for like 3 rounds in a row. He would try to channel negative energy to kill the centipedes and they would save against it. I would attack with all the centipedes and then they wouldn't be able to do anything to him because they couldn't beat his AC. And it was just a back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Oh wait, let me actually check a thing real quick. Megalosaurus Pathfinder. Okay. So actually, I remembered what the name of the creature was that I transformed into, that I used the polymorph ring for. It was the Megalosaurus, which I thought for a long time was like a rhinoceros kind of thing, but apparently it's just like a big ass fucking moose. Like, it's got a gore attack, it's got hoof attacks, which I guess the hoof attack should have told me that it wasn't some kind of rhinoceros type thing. Powerful charge, which does 46 plus 7. Like, basically, this. Here, let's just pull this over here. This is what we had. This is what I turned into. And because me and my GM misunderstood what polymorph was, I basically copied this exact stat sheet onto my character. I had these attacks. I had these stats. All of this. All of this was mine. So I became this thing while I was invisible, because, you know, transformation, polymorph, it's not an offensive action, so I was still invisible. And I charged at the guy. And I hit him. And I did a lot of damage, but I didn't quite take him out. Right? He's a level 9 character, 4d6 plus 7, not likely to kill. Right? And then he turns to me. He's like, haha, get fucked, and hits me with Slay Living, and I just fucking evaporate. So, yeah, basically, this whole time, my GM had been holding that, because I hadn't realized that he had started the fight by casting a spell, but not actually, like, releasing it. Because, you know, you can hold touch spells until you actually touch the person. And he hadn't actually touched any of the centipedes. So I completely missed that. Did not realize that he was holding this really strong offensive spell. And then the instant I actually showed myself and attacked him, he's like, haha, you have fallen into my trap. You have activated my trap card. And then he just fucking hit me with Slay Living. And because I was a bard and because I was a halfling, did not have that much health. And so that was enough to take me down below 0, and I lost the fight. So, the two people in my team, the two people that I was sure were going to be some of the people in the finals, are both out in round 1. I am going to skip a little bit forward. The finals ended up actually being the cleric versus the sorcerer, because the sorcerer and the assassin fought the round before. It's just kind of how the brackets ended up being. And the sorcerer ended up winning, obviously. Now, what we did after that was, I was like, man, really sucks that, you know, it ended that way. You know, it was kind of well, it wasn't really anticlimactic because my GM pulled some shit out of his ass to make it a little bit more fun. Like he actually played out those two fights for me. It was just, you know, we were just kind of hanging out, and he was just like basically role playing those fights, telling me what was going on and all that stuff. It was fun, but I can't remember too many of the details. And I want to skip to the final fight. The reason that we were that this story was even being told. Me versus the level 7 bard versus the level 17 sorcerer. How did I win? How did I beat the level 17 sorcerer as a level 7 bard in a one-on-one fight? It's because I cheated. So, you may have remembered that I mentioned that there were 2 items that were very important to the story. The scroll and the ring. So, after the final fight, sorcerer is done. He wins. I think he won by eating the other opponent because he transformed into a dragon and then ate him. I make a deal with the winner. I'm like, hey, how about we have ourselves an exhibition match tomorrow? You, the winner of the tournament, versus me, the organizer of it. And I fucking make a promise to him that I should not have, because I had no way to back it up at the time. And I'm like, I promise you, I will be more of a challenge than you would expect. And he accepts. He accepts. Because, you know, I'm a little baby halfling man that got beat easily by the guy that he had just beaten easily. So he's like, fuck you. Yeah, I'll kick your ass. Don't worry about it. Yeah, fine. Let's do it. So I then go back, and as I mentioned again earlier, I had a fairly decent line of communication with an archangel all the way through this. So I make a deal with him. I will give you this scroll, which will allow you to cash in a boon from the Prince of the Water Elemental Plane. If you allow me, if you, basically it was, if you empower my ring of polymorph, turn it into a ring of true polymorph, where I can copy the spells. It was actually between the two fights, between my fight with the cleric and this point, where we learned how polymorph actually worked, which is why I was doing this instead of just using the ring itself. Make it a ring of true polymorph where I copy his stats, his spells, everything about them. Basically making it into a ring that we thought that it was at first. And he accepts. So he empowers my ring, but he tells me it's one use only. This thing cannot handle the kind of power that it now has. It was not made for it. It will be destroyed the first time after the first use. Like, all right, cool. Bet. I'm here to put on a show anyway. I don't care about it afterwards. And here another slight background to my character. Very early on in the campaign, I had found a set of golden dragonhide armor that I had worn ever since. It had kind of become like my staple, that I was like this little golden fucking dude running around. And I had asked that there be one exception to the copy, and that it was, while he was a red dragon-blooded sorcerer, that I would be a gold dragon-blooded sorcerer. It wouldn't give an advantage or anything like that. It would just be more thematically resonant with my character. Despite the fact that he is more of a chaotic character, not a lawful character, but whatever, it's fine. Anyway, the next day, we come into the fight. Stadium's full of people. Everyone's wondering, how the fuck is this little fucking bard guy gonna take on this sorcerer? We saw what he could do yesterday. He fucking turns into a dragon. What the fuck? How's this little bard gonna beat him? He summoned a bunch of little centipede men. How's this gonna work? So, hi kitten. You come and say hi to everybody while I tell the story? I walk out, or first he walks out, right? Announcer announces him. He walks out, you know, in his fucking red dragon armor and all this. By the way, this guy's build was trash. His build was like not quite as bad as the Owlcat auto builds can be at their worst, but it was not a good build overall. What's that? So yeah, they announce him first. He comes out, everybody cheers, you know, he's the champion of the tournament. He's the one who won. He did fucking great shit. And then they call me out. And I walk out. And you know, I get some cheers too, but not as many. Mostly, you know, some respectful claps. That's about all I get. And then I activate the ring and I become a complete copy of this guy. Which, you know, he's a dwarf. So he's not exactly like this massive hulking beast of a creature or anything like that. You know, he's a dwarf. You know, he looks like a normal dwarf. He's a little bit more rugged, a little bit older, but, you know, he's not like some 8-foot tall monstrosity of a human or anything like that. But, you know, I'm shining gold, whereas he's a deep red. And we start fighting. And I can't... So, there's 3 major things that happen in this fight. A, my GM rolled real bad on saves. I think the biggest one... Well, it wasn't like consistently rolling bad. He failed a save against almost a max damage Cone of Cold from me. And it was like round 2 or 3 where this happens, where he just gets fucking blasted. What are you doing? You're just like standing on my hand. There you go. All right. So we're just slinging spells back and forth at each other, running all over this fucking arena, dodging shit, you know, shooting each other. And then I hit him with that Cone of Cold. And fucking, like, 2/3 of his health is gone. And, like, me and my GM were, like, passing the book back and forth, right? And one thing that I was constantly making use of, that my GM wasn't, was Quicken. Now, you might think, Pondor, you fucking piece of shit, you hate Quicken. No, I don't. I hate Quicken in real-time combat in these video games. Quicken in turn-based is fucking incredible. And because it's action economy, you get more actions per round. And so I was casting a lot more lower-level spells, but I was quickening them. So I was able to get 2 spells out per round, whereas he was only getting 1. So I was able to pepper him a lot more than he was. But he was taking bigger swings, right? Like, I'm casting level 4, level 5 spells, where he's casting level 7s. You know? But, like, the dice just weren't in his favor. Unfortunately for him. Very fortunately for me. And, you know, the tide's falling in my favor. Right, we're getting to the point where I'm starting to very clearly be in a better position than he was. He's taken a lot more damage, but we're also both kind of running low on spell slots. Like, this fight goes long enough that we burned through all of our level. He was level 17 or 6. Yeah, it was 17. So he had all the way up through level 9 spells. We had burned through all of our level 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, and 4. We were down to level 3 spells at the end of this fight. Now, part of that is because we both had spell resistance. So not only did we have to, like, the spells had to get through spell resistance and then also get, you know, save fails to do full damage. So, like, a lot of spells just didn't do anything to us. And then we both burned our last level 7 spell slot to become, I think it was level 7. Whatever the max level dragon form is, basically we both become dragons. But we're both invisible when we do it. So, like, the way that this is set up, I am winning, right? As I mentioned, I am winning as we're just like dwarf versus dwarf. He goes invisible. Now, something that I don't know if this actually is supposed to work in the tabletop, but this is something that we always just went with, is if you use Detect Magic, the cantrip, it would make sense that you would detect live spells, right? Which includes invisibility. So I cast, after he cast invisibility, I cast Detect Magic. I'm looking around, and I don't see him on the arena. And I look up, I see a giant fucking winged creature form. And, like, the way that we house rule this is you can't see the exact, it's like a blur, right? You can't see exactly what it is. But, you know, it's pretty obvious what the fuck he is. It's a giant fucking winged creature. After, you know, a dragon-blooded sorcerer goes invisible, you might, you know, there's not too many giant winged creatures that a dragon-blooded sorcerer is going to become. Right? Hi, kitten. What's up, baby girl? So I now realize that this man has become a dragon, and I am still just in dwarf form. So I then go invisible and basically copy him. I go dragon as well. And then you know, we're both immune to fire at this point, right? Because we are fully grown. Like, he's a full red dragon, I'm a full gold dragon. We're both immune to we're basically immune to our own fire breaths. Hi. You want some cuddles? What are you doing? What are you doing, kitty cat? Definitely not doing this just so that you guys have to wait longer to find out what happens. But despite that, and I know that I'm, like, sacrificing a turn, but, you know, I'm trying to put on a good show as well. you know, because like all the people, suddenly there's nothing happening, right? Both combatants are now invisible. They can't see us. They have no idea what's going on, have no idea where we are. So I'm like, fuck it. And I reveal my dragon form by fucking breathing fire over this invisible dragon in the sky. Which in hindsight, not the best idea. Because despite the fact that it is a large cave system, we are still in an enclosed cave system. So probably shouldn't have been, you know, launching fire breath at the ceiling. But, you know, the ceiling didn't melt, nobody burned to death. It's fine. And then basically phase 2 of the boss fight commences. We are fucking clawing and biting at each other. And then this is when our inexperience with Pathfinder comes into play. We did not realize that enhancement bonuses could bypass DR. So, as we're fighting each other, we realize that just by the stats as they are, there is no way for us to get past each other's DR with our claw and bite attacks. Now, if we had, you know, the knowledge that I have now going back, we definitely would have been able to. But at the time, we did not realize that enhancement bonuses could bypass certain aspects of DR, and that the dragon's attacks counted as a high enough enhancement bonus to get past its own DR, basically. So what essentially ended up happening is that these two fully grown dragons are just fucking going at it hard, just like fucking biting and clawing and beating each other with their tails and fucking rolling around in the dirt and everything. And I would like to remind everybody that at this point, the highest level spell that we have access to is level 3. We're a level 17 sorcerer, and this fight has gone on long enough that we've burned through every spell slot down to level 3. And I have one left. I have one level 3 left. I think I had been chucking fireballs at him or something like that earlier in the fight, which burned through a few of them. And we back off from each other. Because we realized, mistakenly, that we couldn't do any damage to each other. And then my GM casts some kind of spell on me. He doesn't tell me what it is. And he rolls, and it doesn't get past my spell resistance. That's okay. I'm like, okay, what'd you cast? He's like, roll for it. Fucker. Made me roll for it. I succeeded the roll, and I realized that he had tried to cast Dispel Magic on me to dispel the dragon form. I'm like, oh, you sneaky fuck. That's a good idea. So I did the same back to him. I'm like, oh yeah, if we can't beat each other in dragon form, then just get rid of the dragon form, right? Whoever stays dragon basically wins. And so I use my last level 3 spell slot to cast Dispel Magic. And this is basically my last chance, right? I don't have any more spell slots. I can't cast Dispel Magic. And as of our faulty knowledge of the gaming systems, I have no way to deal damage to him anymore, basically. And I get past his spell resistance, and I succeed at the DC check to dispel his dragon form. And he transforms back into dwarf and immediately passes out. Because he had lost enough health while in dragon form that when losing the temporary hit points given to him by dragon form, it dropped him down below 0. And that's how I won the fight. I beat him with Dispel Magic. And I leveled up 4 times that day. I went from level 7 to level 11. And like, What we ended up doing at that point was I ended up taking levels in Dragon Disciple instead of Bard. Because I really like the attribute bonuses, right? The pluses to strength and con and intelligence and all that stuff. I really like that shit. And B, because I thought that it would be a really cool thematic games. In the Owlcat games, Dispel Magic is not affected by spell resistance. It might not be in the tabletop either. That might have just been, again, another mistake in our understanding of the system. Because, like I said, we were still relatively new to Pathfinder. We were still making mistakes left and right. But yeah, that's how I won. And yeah, I started taking levels in Dragon Disciple. And we like I started, skinning my character, like having him change physically as I took more levels in Dragon Disciple. Like whenever basically to the point where he started looking more like a kobold than a halfling. He would have an elongated snout whenever he got the bite attack. He would start having scaly skin whenever he got the AC bonuses, the natural armor bonuses for Dragon Disciple. And basically we Tartic basically kind of before I knew that Tartic existed. But basically what we said was to explain this in universe is something went wrong. Right? Targeting the effects, not the creature. It would be pointless for Dispel Magic to be affected by... Like, yeah, that all makes complete sense. That all makes complete sense. And I would not... Here, let's actually look it up. Dispel Magic Pathfinder. Nope. Spell resistance, no. So yeah, we were just mistaken on that point. We were just mistaken entirely. But basically we flavored it as something had gone wrong because of the ring, right? The ring allowed me to polymorph into the dwarf, but the additional polymorph effect was not intended. Oh, god damn it. Am I disconnecting, or is my bitrate just dropping a little bit? Being all fucky, I don't know what's going on here. Am I actually live still, or are we good? Are we good? Cutting but still live? Okay. Damn it. Okay, now we're at 12,000. 13,000! Okay, it's back to green. We should be good then. So yeah, basically, we flavored it as while the Ring of Polymorph would allow me to turn into the dwarf, it had not been intended for any further polymorph effects to be added onto it, which I did when I became the dragon, right? So because of that, it had started changing my character physiologically, making them more draconic as they became more powerful. And I just thought that was like a really fun aspect going forward with that character. Unfortunately, that was one of the last things that we did with that character before we had to stop playing for various reasons. And we haven't had a chance to go back to him yet. But yeah, that is the basically the capstone of that particular one of the capstones of that particular campaign was that fight. It was one of my favorite sessions, was that. because it was the first time that I got to play with like a super powerful fucking spellcaster. Despite the fact that he had not been built very well. Like he had arcane armor training as one of his feats. He was like wearing heavy armor and shit. Like it was fucking weird. But we do have about 15 minutes left. Let's see how much is in here. There's actually not that many. I think we could go through this in 15 minutes. If we disconnect again, I am gonna end it, but for right now, I think we can go through these archetypes. Okay, so Tandem Executioner. Many hunters rely on spells, but there are those who avoid the help of divine forces for their own reasons. Through rigorous training with their animal companions, they hone their skills at stalking and destroying their prey. For these unscrupulous and cruel hunters, it doesn't matter who the target is, beast, human, or demon. Thanks to their bond with their pet, the Tandem Executioner possesses many unique battle tactics unavailable to other archetypes. Defeat your enemies through hard training and the aid of a loyal friend. So, why not just make a ranger? Or a cavalier? Like, there's not really enough here for me to make that much... like, to talk about it that much. It's really, really vague with what it actually does. It's a magicless hunter. Right, but what's the difference between that and just a fucking, like, a cavalier? I feel like a cavalier is just better at that point, right? Unless you're trying to be a ranged character, which at that point just, like I said, just be a ranger. I don't know. It's weird. Like I said, I'll have to look at it once it actually comes out and I can see the actual mechanics behind it. But as of right now, it just seems like a weird middle ground that doesn't really do much. Like, it seems like it might have some kind of sneak attack, like stalking and destroying their prey. It doesn't matter who their target is. Like, it kind of... Nuke T-Comp, maybe. Maybe. Like, it might have some sneak attack here. It might have some kind of, like, study target or something like that. But, yeah, I would need to know exactly what this archetype does, but for right now, the way that it's described, it just seems like a worse version of the Cavalier. Sorcerer Geomancer. This is a unique archetype by our game designer, Valery Karmanovsky. He was inspired by a similar class in Final Fantasy Tactics, whose abilities change depending on the terrain where it was located. Oh, fuck. By adapting this concept to the mechanics of Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, we developed the archetype Geomancer, who could use their blood to give their spells terrain-dependent enhancements. Utilizing terrain allows the Geomancer to not only deal extra damage and weaken enemies, but also to heal and protect allies. Sacrifice a drop of blood to summon the power of nature and unleash it upon your enemies. Okay. This... I could see ways for this to be very interesting. Especially if you can combine this with, like, ground effects that you can create. Like, there's that... Was it, like, Soothing Mud or whatever the spell is called, where it, like, kind of heals you over a very little bit for over a very long period of time. So it's kind of trash. But, like, imagine if you cast that and then you had this guy standing on it and it changed the terrain that he's on so that he can cast different types of spells in different situations. Or, like, you have him standing in a web and that gives him access to different CC abilities or something like that. That's probably overthinking this. It's probably not what this one does. It's probably just like, all right, you know, this is a desert map, therefore he has these spells. This is an underground map, therefore he has these spells. That kind of a thing. That's probably what's more likely to be a thing, but it might be interesting. It might be interesting, like it not being able to rely on a consistent strategy, though, that is a little bit detrimental to most fights. Because, like, most fights in this game, you're gonna approach the same way. There'll be some that you have to do differently, but you want to kind of approach most of the fights the same way. That way you can plan it out, you know what you're gonna do, and you can just, you know, do the thing. And this kind of goes against that, so the benefits that it gets would have to be really strong to make it worth that particular sacrifice. All right, dual cursed oracle. Many oracles suffer from curses, but some bear a doubly heavy burden. Though the dual cursed oracle is doubly beset with difficulties, they have a deeper understanding of their nature and are thus able to manipulate fate. This archetype's curses also extend to their enemies once per day. They can turn a critical success into a critical failure. For allies, this ability turns into a blessing. 1 on the die turns into 20 at the will of the oracle. When our developers played the tabletop version of Pathfinder, this skill often saved lives and decided the outcome of combat. Because of this, the dual cursed oracle was so beloved by the team that we decided to add it to Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. Control your fate, manipulate your opponent's luck, change the course of any battle. So this basically gives you, it says once per day, right? Once per day, it gives you the Trickster ability that allows you to make a nat 1 and nat 20. And I don't know. I feel like that's a really hefty price to pay for that one ability that you can get just by going Trickster, right? Like, I guess it would be worth it maybe if you want to, I don't know, like, I feel like that's like an incredibly niche thing. Like an incredibly niche thing. Like, yeah, it says that it often saved lives and decided the outcome of combat in tabletop. But I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, like, okay, yeah, but does this class bring anything else to the table that another archetype wouldn't, and that might have potentially prevented that situation from being that way in the first place? I don't know. This feels very strange. It feels very strange. All right, Alchemist. Also, some of these just didn't load, apparently. It's fine. The Reanimator is an alchemist who has discovered a way to give corpses a semblance of life. The undead they raise receive bonuses to their stats, as well as additional attacks, increasing their power many times over. Thanks to these features, this archetype is the perfect fit for the Mythic Path Lich. Build an indomitable army of the undead on your path to greatness. That is really fucking interesting. That is really fucking interesting. Ooh. So, I've mentioned before, like, this all depends on how big the bonuses are, right? It says extra attacks. Is it just haste? Do they just get 1? Do they get, you know, do they now scale with you? And oops. Oops. Oh, God. Oh, hey. The pictures are here. Do they now scale with your level? Do they get iterative attacks as you level up? Like, what exact, like, this is one that could be incredibly good or absolutely crap depending on the numbers, right? How much stronger do they get? How high do these bonuses get? That kind of a thing, right? So this could be really, really good. And I have always liked the undead deal. Blood Rager, Hag Riven. While not fully transformed into a hag, these maimed and scarred Blood Ragers bear a deep double check. Next week, DLC drops the 21st. Really? Okay. All right. Looks like we're back though. Let's continue on. We got a couple more. And we reconnected fairly quickly, so it's not that big a deal. All right, Rogue. This is the one. Who was it? Who was it? Who was it? Ricardo. You were looking forward to this one. Dark Lurker uses shadows as their allies. Shadows shelter them from their enemies and present no hindrance to them. By using the enemy's shadow to their advantage, the thief gains a bonus to their attack roll. At high levels, the Dark Lurker gains blind sight, and their strikes always find their target. Game does not have a light shadow mechanic. We've implemented this archetype's bonuses through the shadow cast by a large creature standing nearby. Between shadows and hit your opponents with unexpected and precise attacks. This seems impossible to deal with in real time. This seems absolutely impossible to deal with in real time, right? This seems like this is a specifically turn-based. Don't have shadows in your game? Oh, man. Yeah, like, this one's really fucking weird. Yeah, because shadows are, like, one of the first things that most people turn off because it's such a draining thing on a PC. So, like, this right here, their strikes always find their target. That's really fucking interesting. Does this mean that they just, like, they never miss? Because that's insane. Like, a rogue archetype that never misses? Like, I have to look at this. I have to look at this more deeply. Like, this just seems impossible to deal with. And also, what if there's no large creatures? So basically what this is saying is always have animal companions. Always have animal companions. That's what you want here. Yeah, this is another one that I'd have to look at the actual mechanics of to see. Oh my god. Hiccups. What exactly is going on with it? Barbarian, Flesh Eater. This archetype devours the flesh of its enemies, forming a spiritual bond with them. Victim was a supernatural being, fae, dragon, undead, outsider, or magical beast. The Flesh Eater absorbs its special abilities and can use its essence to restore health. When enraged, this barbarian falls into an insane fury and takes large penalties. But if they are hungry and have not tasted the flesh of a supernatural creature for a day, they gain a bonus to attack and damage against them. Crush their bones, cleave their muscles, consume their flesh. You'll go to any length to achieve your goals. I don't know about this one. This reminds me of Doom from Dota, right? Doom can fucking chomp into a jungle creep and then gain some of their abilities. Somebody else can do it too. I can't remember who the other guy is. It's been a long time since I played Dota. Yeah, this is I'd have to, I mean, there's a lot of outsiders in this game. It's like literally every demon. Every demon, there's a bunch, like, yeah, you could basically guarantee that you're gonna find some kind of supernatural being on any given map. Oops, sorry, kitten, didn't mean to scare you. But yeah, again, it would depend on exactly what special ability. Like, if it's all of them, are you getting their DR? Are you getting their spell resistance? Their energy resist? Like, what special abilities is it? Because if it's all of them, that's insane. I can't imagine that they get all of them. Because then it's just beat a demon, and then suddenly you have major resistances, immunities, DRs, all that shit. So yeah, like, I think Like, most of these are fucking weird. It's gonna be gradual as you look. Yeah, it's just like, how? Like, every single one of them, I'm like, how exactly does this work? How exactly? Because, like, I don't remember that being the way that it was with some of these. Some of these, I was like, oh, I understand exactly what this does. Okay, I can understand this. Like, this one, I understand this. This one, weird. This one, I'm like, just be a shifter. This one, I'm like, be literally anything else. Like, some of these in this first one, I'm like, okay, I can understand exactly what they're doing here. But, like, almost every single one of these, I'm like, how or why? Right? How or why? Especially this one. How the fuck? How does this even work? Doesn't work like it says? Yeah. Yeah, I'm really curious about this Dark Lurker. I would love to see what the fuck this actually is. But yeah, that is gonna be it for me today, guys. We got to 9 o'clock. We did it. We got some story time in. We got two auto builds done, and we looked at the new archetypes today. I feel like that was fairly, and despite all the disconnects too. Probably would have been done a half hour on this had I not been disconnecting all the time. But yeah. I'm gonna go. Next week, so if I can get everything set up, I plan to start multi-streaming to Twitch and YouTube next week. I plan to go back to Twitch. I will still be here on YouTube, but I plan to start multi-streaming to Twitch next week if I can get everything set up. I'm currently working on making I have recently taught myself how to make animated GIFs in GIMP. I talked about it a little bit yesterday. I'm trying to make new did your Baldur's Gate run? Hell yeah. Um Trying to make new alerts for my Twitch channel. Since I can upload it straight to Twitch now. I don't have to have it actually in my Steam Elements or Stream Elements layout. But yeah, that's the plan for next week. The actual things that we're gonna be streaming. Wait, what's on mobile? Baldur's Gate? I'm confused. Yeah, what we're gonna be streaming next week. Tuesday we're gonna be continuing City Skylines. Oh, interesting. We got to 20,000 last week. 20,000 our population for our city got to 20,000 last week. We're gonna see if we can't get it even higher. See if we can't double it again. See if we can't get to 40,000 this week. Wednesday will be more AT-AT building. I don't know what, so like we finished bitching and moaning about TFA. We finished it. I got through all 106 points that I wanted to bring up this past week. I'm not going to be continuing with the sequel trilogy because I refuse to subject myself to The Last Jedi again. I've seen it once ever and I never want to see it again. Also, I don't have the Blu-ray or the DVD or have access to those movies either. We might go back to the prequel era. I might watch Attack of the Clones this weekend. Because there are some things that I really like in Attack of the Clones, and I'd like to talk about them a bit more. So yeah, we'll probably do that on Wednesday. And then on Friday we will be back at Pokemon. We rolled Electrode for the next Mon that we're going to be running. So we're going to be doing Electrode next week. And then on Saturday we will do the DLC comes out next week. I'm gonna be completely honest, guys. I really don't have any like desire to play the game anymore. At least right now, I don't really feel like playing this game again. So despite the DLC coming out, I don't know if I'm gonna play it. I'll take a look at the archetypes in game, but I don't think I'm gonna be playing the DLC unless it's like a short standalone thing. I don't know anything about it at all. If it's like a main thing that's adding into the main game, I'm probably gonna skip it. But if it's just like a short standalone thing, like the other one, Through the Ashes. If it's something like Through the Ashes, I might play through it, but I don't want to go through a whole campaign again. Like if it's one of these where I could get through it relatively quickly, then I'll play through it, but I don't want to do through a main story again. But yeah, that's the plan for next week. Thank you everybody for hanging out and watching. I appreciate y'all as always. And as always, it's a continue. Oh, it's a continue. Oh, okay. Okay, then I will probably then I will play that. We might do that for a while on Saturdays. That will delay the auto build Judgment Day bits, but that will give me time to get to Galfrey. Mildly recommend Icewind Dale too. Got it. But yeah, I'm gonna go. Thank you everybody. Appreciate y'all. Bye-bye.